best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sackheads. Sackheads.
Radio.
Sackheads. Sackheads.
Radio.
Sack. Sack. Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
Into the silo.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us on the 28th of September 2016. I am your host, Sackhead Sean. It is a pleasure to have you with us as always. Sitting across from me is the amazing bloviating Zeppelin, BZ
Hello.
himself. Thank you, sir. And yeah, so moving on. How was your week, sir?
Great.
Good. What? Oh man, it's almost like something's missing again this week.
Yeah, because again, there was nothing to talk about.
Right.
Nothing happened.
I think that smartass is talking about me.
Hey, buddy.
Hey!
Look who it is.
Hey! Hi, friend.
How you doing, pal?
I'm doing swell. How are you? I was commenting to BZ while we were over here screwing off while you were working, that this is I said first, I believe, this is actually my second sober night in about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Actually,
I don't like this feeling. Actually.
It's one of those things, and you have to get used to it.
Uh-huh.
And mine wasn't as extended.
Right.
But I was at a conference for a few days.
Yours can't get as extended.
No.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Right?
I'm sorry.
What?
Never mind. I apologize. Off topic again. Yeah, so I have literally been drunk, I think, or in some various stage thereof, for the last couple weeks up until last night.
It's nice to have you
sober?
I don't even want to say that because that's just mean, right? It's almost like you're not a fun drunk. You are a fun drunk.
I'm a hilarious. So I have a great story for you. Here's how fun.
Did we not talk about stories? Did we not say he's going to have a story?
I have lots of stories, but this is one I'm actually going to talk about.
Yeah, but we took time out of our week last week to come back and be like, right off the bat next week, the first thing Clint's going to want to do is tell stories.
Right.
I nailed it.
That's right.
Look at General Jackassery, folks. Is this not the time for a story?
No, I'm just saying. I just thought it was funny that.
No, we knew.
So let me tell you
knew.
something. The good thing is this. The good thing is this, because as you know, alcohol in areas where scuba diving is prevalent, warmer climates and so forth, can be very expensive, right? So it's always good when there's somebody there who is a cheap drunk. Not me, but people, for example, who drink box wine. Right?
Not like he's pointing a finger or anything.
Because,
I know, right?
No. Look, I'm just saying. One of our bar bills was higher than the other. Thank God for box wine. That's all I'm saying. You picked up a couple boxes, like a 12-pack of boxes of wine for like $1.50. Yeah, over there. In Hawaii. You know what was weird, though, is because everybody in Hawaii, like, they don't really know what good wine is over there. I mean, it's not like Hawaii is a wine country, right? So, like, a box of wine, and I think they sell it by volume, was like $362.
Yeah.
Whereas a bottle of Rombauer was like $1.50. It was weird.
It's very bizarre.
It was very, very bizarre. And, of course, she had to have box wine.
Well, of course it is. It's her name, right?
Right.
Box wine.
How
So
else?
you don't get that name because you're a Jack Daniels connoisseur.
Right.
You don't get that name because you're a champagne enthusiast.
Right.
Your name is Box Wine for a friggin' reason.
Look, am I arguing with you right now?
No,
I'm not arguing with you
I just
at
want to
all.
make sure everyone knows what's
Understands.
going on.
Right. So here's the deal. So after, I don't know, like somebody was down a whole box of wine and I was down like a bottle and like some rum and I think there was some some Jameson and ginger. Like there was a lot going on.
Right, good stuff. All good stuff. It sounds like too.
Walking, stumbling.
Yes.
Carrying, like leaning. Anyways, on the way back,
The blowing out of flip flops.
right on the way back up the beach towards the hotel from there was a wedding. Said wedding had to be crashed.
Oh no.
It was a real life wedding crasher moment where there was
no.
dancing and drinking and No, there wasn't fornication, but there was dancing and drinking involved. And what was amazing is the groom came out and was like, "Hey," had no idea who the hell we were.
Good to see ya.
He didn't even say that. He was like, "Hey, you know what? Fuck it. Come on in. Bar's open."
You're my kind of guy, dude.
Yeah, I was
So-
going to say, I like that guy. I really like that guy.
Right.
actually.
Now, I have a picture of said evening and crashing wedding, which I don't think either of you have seen yet.
Oh, now
So,
now that's a good time.
Really? You're going to hold the phone over there? I am
That's a good
blind as a
time.
bat, my friend.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'll
Here,
even
click-
get up and come see
yeah, you need to get up and come see this because
I'll get up.
All right.
this is so
Okay.
Sackhead
Oh,
Clint
yeah.
Folks,
and
Clint
B-Dub.
is holding it up to the microphone, so that's for
So
everyone that-
everybody can see
on
it.
radio. So
It's
there you
up to
go.
the
You can see it
microphone
right now.
so everybody can see the amazing picture via
Outstanding.
crashed wedding.
Put it this way, if you've ever seen a picture of Clint on his Twitter or he and I in any shot, there's a face he usually has, if we're not being serious.
Which
he
is
has
never.
that face.
Which is never.
Right. Box wine is immediately adjacent.
Right?
And then there's a beautiful wedding, or what was, I'm sure, a beautiful wedding behind it. I applaud you, my friend. I
Thank you.
applaud you.
Thank you.
It was.
Yeah. No, said story had to be told.
It went from "Here Comes the Bride" to
There you go.
"Ole."
Now throw in some poi and a roast pig.
Awesome, good times, good
Yeah.
times.
It was amazing.
Well,
It
I'm
was
glad
amazing.
you're back.
So-
We did miss you.
No, look, I missed you guys too from that usually from about 8:30 a.m. to 8:40 before I began drinking again, like that 10-minute period where I was actually sober. I missed you guys.
Okay. Well, that's more than I expected.
Yeah. No, I totally missed you guys. I didn't even know when Wednesday was.
Dude.
Is that bad?
Well, and most people don't. I don't know. I think we may have shared some of this last week. You told us you were off the week prior to last.
Right.
When you were like, "Hey, just so you know, I'm going out of town." Great. We kind of figured it was going to happen. We all were under the impression you'd be back next week until you texted me an hour and a half before the show, going, "Hey, I'm not going to be there tonight, right?"
I didn't know what day it was.
And I was like, "No, I had no idea you weren't going to be here tonight."
What day is it? Hubcap.
yes, that was my mind. I was like, what day is this?
It was.
I hope they don't think I'm going to be there because I'm
Not
hammered
jumping on a plane.
and
right
I'm
now.
not there.
There's a question out of the chat room.
Yes.
From an individual named Court. I don't know what that means. Do y'all play slap the bag with box wine wherever you are in this great country?
And the thing about Court, I'm pretty sure that sounds like an Ohioan.
You know what? With the
Right?
y'all in there,
With
right?
the y'all in
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and the right. That almost sounds like an Ohioan thing to say. I'm guessing,
If you could text in an athletic way,
right?
I think that would have shown up in the font.
Right. Right. It's weird how accents come across in font.
Absolutely outstanding. Thanks for the question, Court. We're glad you're here.
Thank you for the question.
It's so nice to find you in chat. I meant in chat. I don't know what else that could have meant. I was just... So other than that, it was a good week.
I got some great dive photos.
I can't wait to see him after the show.
Oh, man.
So, I spent a couple days in L.A., and I talked about this a little bit. I realized about L.A.? no matter how many times I go to Los Angeles, I hate Los Angeles.
Well,
Not
of
the
course you
people. The
do.
people were actually really cool. The event was really nice. I went to. Just the way the city's designed sucks. Traffic sucks, and nothing is close to anything.
No, if you want to go anywhere in Los Angeles, it's 20 minutes to a half hour just to get, I don't know, gas.
Right. And that's when you work at the gas station.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's just horrible. It is the most poorly designed city I've ever seen. And I've been fortunate enough to travel this country quite a bit.
And I think one of the easiest cities to understand is San Diego. If you ever go to San
Yes.
Diego,
I was just there earlier this year.
It's laid out, it's logical, it's perfect. You got mountains on the east, you got the friggin' ocean on the west.
Mexicans to the south
That's right.
and Mexicans to the north.
Exactly. If I could fist bump you from here, I would.
No, but San Diego is a beautiful city.
It is. It's beautiful. It's
very
gorgeous.
well laid
And you
out.
can get anywhere. You know where you are all the time.
And even though, and we've talked about this, even San Francisco is designed far better than L.A. is.
Yes, San Francisco's not bad. The traffic is terrible.
Right, it's horrible, but it's not designed as poorly. There's a
No.
lot more things that are close.
No, Los Angeles is just wacky.
You know, and like I said, I've been a lot Dallas. I've been a lot of places this year alone, and you know, you get that comparison. You're like, this is just horrendous. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they live down there.
No.
I like visiting, but that's about it.
Hey, do we have any listeners from Southern California? Any listeners in Los Angeles?
I'm sure we do. I know, as a matter of fact, we do. Whether or not they're in chat, no, I don't.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just curious.
Yeah, I know we definitely do. I know a couple people personally who listen to us that are out of the LA area.
Cool.
But
Well, here we are. It's dark. Tipping our hat at you right now down in L.A. God bless you.
and our good friends are checking in. If you're not in chat room, shrmedia.com.
Now, hang on a
click
second,
live chat.
because there was a question that came in as well in terms of what slap the bag is. Not all of our listeners are of a particular generation who would use Urban Dictionary. So here's what it is. For those who don't know, it's removing the bag of wine inside the box and then passing it around, partaking of its sweet nectar, as you simultaneously hold, pour, and slap the bag of wine.
Sweet
So
nectar.
That sounds like an amazing game.
So box wine sounds like she has a good friend in Slapbag.
This is what it sounds.
That person that sent that will forever be known as
Forever,
Slapbag.
yes. So whoever sent that in the chat room is forever known as Slapbag.
Jersey
Now,
Joe.
that could have a whole different connotation.
No,
So
no,
I
no,
hope
no.
that
I
people
mean
really
wine.
understand.
I mean
exactly.
wine.
I hope
Wine
people really
specific.
understand where that came from.
Jersey Joe wants to know what the hell you're actually doing here. So that's
I
pretty
don't know, Joe. This is what I'm talking. I don't know. I shouldn't be here. I should be somewhere on a beach.
I know. I
Drinking
actually want to
something-
tweet your existence right now just to prove to people you're not far away and just remotely.
You didn't happen to take the cattle car over there, to you? The one time I went to, one of the times I went to Hawaii, I went on Hawaiian Air, and it was a cattle car.
No.
Oh
Hawaiian
my
Air,
God,
no.
it was terrible.
No. Now, I've had good experiences on Hawaiian Air,
Oh,
but I actually
boy.
flew Alaska.
Oh, Alaska's a nice airline.
Yeah.
The planes fall out of the sky, but the planes look nice.
Yeah, and they
look great doing it.
They only invert occasionally.
That's right.
You know what? Invert it.
Bring it on.
Screw it. Hey, I want to knock on the cockpit door. Hey,
Push this bitch over, would you?
hey. Bet you can't barrel roll this bitch.
Strange story. Honest to God truth. There's a test pilot flying one of the first Boeing 707s.
Yep, rolled it over.
He rolled it.
Yep.
He actually rolled a Boeing 707.
Yep, and you know what else was? And it was funny. I was just watching the other documentary. Did you know the Concorde got rolled a few times?
No.
Yes, absolutely did.
But I read that article about the test dude rolling a Boeing 707.
Yeah,
and then
good.
if you look there's an actual photograph of this guy
There
upside
most
down.
certainly is. I've seen it
Oh
online.
my God. Dude, you must be just nuts.
Well, because the test pilots back then, right? They wanted to see everything the plane could do and push it to the extreme, no matter what.
That's just
And
astounding.
that's what they would do. Oh, let's get into topics because we have so much to talk about. Again, we're just going to piss through this night.
We do have a lot to talk about, and our first is surprise Sean segment.
Okay.
So did you hear about the sailor who was under investigation for not standing for the national anthem
A female down in Hawaii.
in Pearl Harbor?
Pearl Harbor, yeah.
Of all frickin' places to not stand for the national, and this is active duty military,
Active duty Navy.
active duty. Oh, you're right. Thanks for clarifying that.
No, I was not insulting
No,
my
no, no, no,
friends
no,
in
no,
the
no, no,
Navy.
no. I wasn't insulting anybody either. I was
Okay.
saying a specific, for clarifying the specific branch. Don't make me look like an ass. I do that plenty on my own. But no. I meant for clarifying which branch. Yeah. So this broad, right? I think that's fair to say. This broad is active duty in the Navy, Naval Reserve, based out of California. Weird.
What?
Anyways, national anthem plays at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, and she fails to stand for the national anthem, which is a violation of the general orders, which she can be prosecuted. She then, I guess, tweets or something about how she's upset because she could face jail time for not doing it. Yeah, jackass.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
something I want to say, and I know a lot of military people that would agree with me. You do realize when you sign up for the military, you do in fact give up a certain amount of your rights.
Yes, you do.
And
When you sign a contract with the NFL, it's the same thing.
Right, but
when you sign any
hold on,
contract.
I want to talk just the military.
Okay, all right.
We can go down all those other caveats, but the military, it's very specific in your contractual paperwork. You go through 8 weeks of boot camp, sometimes more. You get into your specialty school. They teach you all of this. And you know what you are and what you are not supposed to do. You are not an individual in the military. You are a member of the military. It's called member for a reason. So I find it absolutely fucking infuriating that this broad would not only have the audacity to not stand up, but then be able to bitch about it. I might go to jail. Hey, listen, I know that it's a crime for me to drive drunk. And if I do it and get caught, I'm not going to tweet that it's somebody else's fault. No matter what's in her heart or what she believes, the simple fact of the matter is you're supposed to follow orders when you are in the military or any paramilitary organization.
If you don't like the country, why did you join?
And that, because
Well, you don't.
no,
Did she join the country?
free college.
Oh,
I guarantee you, it was free college.
we don't know that.
I would bet dollars to donuts.
Why the hell would you bet donuts? Those are delicious.
Right, that's how positive I am. She
Wow.
wanted free college.
Military members and people in chat, if this is a violation of any UCMJ, could you let us know in
It is.
chat? Is it a UMCJ?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's under
You-
the first. It's under the first set of general orders.
First, which makes it Article 92.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
I didn't know it was
absolutely. Is.
okay. UCMJ, all right.
I could be 100% on that one. Ken thinks she may have been chasing her baby's daddy, who was enlisted as well. I don't know, Ken.
Ken says she needs to break rocks.
Yeah, I agree. She does. She needs
Now,
to
hang
stop
on.
busting
Is Ken?
phones.
Wait. Now, hang on a second. If Sean said that, I would take that as a racial term, meaning rock cocaine. But because Ken said it, it's not racist.
All is right in the world again.
All is right. Was he referring to rocks of cocaine, as in she should be breaking rocks of cocaine, like because that's what she should be doing on the street, or like rocks in jail? Because I'm trying to paint a picture here. Like
Jail-
she shouldn't enlist, so she should go be a drug dealer, or she should be breaking rocks in jail.
I'm pretty sure it was
Because
crack
you
rocks.
can't do that
According
anymore.
to Ken, it was crack
It was
rocks.
crack rocks. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So,
Okay.
can we move on now?
Joe has an interesting comment in chat.
Yes.
He said his wife's cousin joined the Marines so that he could get money for college, then said, they can't make me go to war, and they can't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is funny because I think you've officially missed the entire beginning portion when you get sworn in.
Yeah. What part of the military did you not get?
I bet they would beg to differ. I think he should try that.
Yes, I'm not interested in your
Yeah,
uniform.
you know what? Go for
I
it.
just want the perks.
Right.
Oh, wait, that's like somebody in D.C., isn't it?
Yeah. We'll get into that. Let's not get ahead of ourselves,
Actually,
kids.
let's talk about it because it's not on the big board of topics because we have a lot to get to tonight.
Okay. All right.
Congress actually came together and did something today.
Congress grew a pair,
Yes.
which is amazing.
A pair, but they didn't grow the second pair.
Yeah.
Congress, the Senate first, with a 97-1 vote.
Yeah.
Harry Reid being the only no vote, and then the House voted overwhelmingly to override the presidential veto of
Video?
the presidential veto, which will allow the 9/11 victims to sue the Saudi Arabian government for losses for their role in the 9/11 attacks.
Right.
He vetoed that law, and then Congress comes together in a bipartisan way in an election year
Yes. Yes.
to override that veto. How scared? So the Democrats overwhelmingly were more afraid of standing with the party and with the president in overriding that law or not overriding the veto than they were in showing solidarity with the Republicans in this case during an election year when the presidential Democratic candidate is being tied to this administration.
Yeah. Well, and
Am I the only one that thinks that that's huge?
Oh, it's really
Well,
huge.
I want to comment. You know, you brought up the election year thing, and maybe for some, but I really believe in my heart of hearts that most of them knew it was the right thing to do.
Oh no, I think they were so scared as having their party painted as being against the 9/11 victims than they were about doing the right thing.
Exactly.
I'm not saying
Because
you're
They
wrong.
didn't want to be pigeonholed
I'm not
like
saying
that.
you're wrong on the majority, on a minority of the group, but I think that there were absolutely some that it was the right thing to do.
I don't think so, and here's why. Here's why I don't think so, Sean. And look, we will never know what's in their hearts, so we won't know.
Right.
I don't think so for this reason, and you may be right. A part of me hopes you're right, but I don't think so because you look at how they've conducted themselves with these hearings and these investigations into Benghazi, and now the Clinton email and the Comey hearings, which I know we're going to get into later, and all these things, and they don't care about doing the right thing. They don't care for the country. Look, I mean, we're talking about 9/11 victims. Those are high-profile victims and their families.
Right.
What about the 4 Benghazi people doing what was right, Americans who were killed there and the U.S. ambassador? Those aren't high-profile victims or high-profile families in that sense.
I understand what you're saying. And you know what? Maybe a little bit is, as Archie Bunky would say, I'm being a little naive. But I think for some, even, it was just because it was the right thing to do. And
I'd like to think that.
I have to. Every once in a while, even if I have to put on my blinders to think it, because it helps me restore a little bit of faith in people. Even complete useless wankers, as Congress would be. Whoever said wankers in the chat room, I didn't see who it was, but that's a great term.
It's a British term.
It is absolutely a British term. It's still a great term.
I know.
But it's one of those things that I part of the problem that I see with our Congress right now, which is why I think we have more people separating from the quote-unquote American way of life, is because Congress is so fucked up, and it's such a major part of our life that people see it and say, if they're not going to live by the rules and do the right thing, then why should I? You know, they're supposed to be setting the example.
There are so many instances of that being true, and sooner or later, D.C.'s going to get exactly that. People will, in fact, begin to pick and choose, just like the federal government does, what they're going to obey. I always said, if you want a tax revolt, if you really want to get something done about taxes, make people pay quarterlies, like businesses. You'll have a tax revolt after the second quarterly.
Right, because it's not the one-time cut of things you never see.
That's right. It comes right out, and then you begin to understand just how much tax you do pay.
And I've said it too. Another great way to do that is to not do weekly withdrawals of taxes from paychecks. Just have the bill show up. Just have the bill show up. Hey, every quarter, this is what you owe. This is what you made. Pay it. Well, I don't have that money.
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd be a great way to cause a tax revolt. But to get back to my point, that I think things like this, you have to look at the few who did it for the right reason and look at them as an example and look at it as a positive that Congress actually did something. By the way, the same Congress that has said no to the health care benefits for a lot of the 9/11 first responders, a president who was pretty much on the same boat, et cetera, finally did right by 9/11 for once, right? Because they've done nothing. I mean, you look at how many first responders, construction workers, all police officers, firefighters who have died of cancer after 9/11 that worked inside the trade centers.
You can look at all the video, and the first thing I thought of looking at video again after you got rid of the shock and whatnot is how are those people going to survive in that kind of an environment where there are no filters and you're breathing everything that's in that building.
Asbestos.
Everything goes into your lungs.
Yeah. I'm not even going to justify that comment. But yeah, no, I mean, you had a lot of people who've died since that are not getting treated.
No.
Or obviously they won't, but they were not being treated when they were alive for their illness.
And you can see the evidence is plain on any video that you want. You know exactly how they got it.
And everyone knows it.
Everyone knows it.
And like I said, it's not just the initial first responders. It's the construction workers, all the support
It's anyone
people.
who was in the area.
Absolutely. And if you look, there was a list. I don't have the website in front of me, but there is a going tally with photos of people that have perished as a result of the initial attack, and then those who have died as a result of complications after the fact.
Now, I know we have 2 minutes left, and there was a story that BZ had. I apologize for getting off on a tangent, but BZ, you had a good story that you wanted to bring up.
Actually, it was on the veto thing that Congress got together and vetoed. I don't know if that's the one you're thinking of.
No, it was something with...
No, something you said something about the California Democratic Party.
Boy, that's interesting. We don't have time for that. Damn! Anyway, that's kind of interesting. If we do have time of the break to come back and do that, will I have some time?
You got a couple minutes now. Go for it.
To chat about that? It's an interesting article. It's out of Fox News. And the headline on that says, Agency probes whether California Dem Party funneled illicit oil donations to governor.
What?
Now this is interesting because the charges are an agency is probing whether the California Democratic Party, okay, not one Democrat, not two Democrats, all of them funneled illicit oil donations to the governor. Oh, wait. Governor? Would that be Jerry Brown?
In the most
leftist,
green-loving liberal state
Jerry Brown
in all of in all of the world?
Yeah, but you look at Jerry Brown, and he has pushed back on the environmental groups in certain circumstances.
Right, but he also just signed the environmental bill from hell a month ago.
Right.
Even though he has money in oil companies, and he just bought a whole bunch of land that he's clear-cutting, according to some people.
Oil production.
For oil production.
Right.
And it's Governor Jerry Moonbeam Brown.
Yeah, AB 32, and that's another reason that you can't create concrete in California anymore. Thank you very much. How ridiculous is that? By the way, people listening, did you know that California can no longer produce concrete in the state due to AB 32? Thank you very much.
Wait till you see how much money California is going to lose when it comes time to build a wall in Mexico.
Hey, that's okay. They're just going to tax the hell out of SHR, so we're good.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. So
somebody just, Carrie Baxter Donovan, thank you. She posted the 9/11 deaths website in our chat. If you're not there, go to shrmedia.com and scroll up. It is a great website. Jersey Joe's told a story about a friend of his who had 7 different types of cancer. He worked at 9/11. Shared this in the chat room. Had no medical coverage, had no benefits as a result. Even though he was a medic.
I bet you I would wager it's at least another 1,000 people.
Oh, the list will go on and on. We're up against a break. When we come back, the first volleys have been sent across each other's bows, and there was a debate last night. The first presidential debate in
Some
2016.
Some debate. Some
That
debate.
we're going to
whether
talk
it's
about right here on the
debate.
Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. The hell is the commercial? There it is.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic is stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much.
Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show on the SHR Media Network. Good to see you back.
Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show on the SHR Media Network. Glad to have you.
I'm glad.
So,
why did you just unzip your pants, Sean? Put that thing away. You're going to knock a microphone over.
The Cobra of Love.
Put the one stick and forget it. Anyhow, so the first debate was last evening, Monday evening. Today's Wednesday. Monday evening, where Donald J. Trump and the Hill Dog went head to head. Some sparks flew. A lot of people said that it was kind of a mundane. A lot of people held back. There was some dumb things said by both parties involved.
For the debate?
Yeah. But overall, the one line, and I know we're going to go through all of this, but the one line that I think is absolutely amazing is when she went at him for his tax returns. And he said, I'll release my tax returns when you release your emails.
That was great.
I was just like, he should have just dropped the mic and walked off the floor.
How long have we waited for that?
Right. That was absolutely outstanding. And the fact when she did go at him about, well, you didn't pay taxes, and he was like, close the loopholes. I did nothing illegal.
No, if it's not that's such a ridiculous argument about taxes that like people that are wealthy. Chat room, help me out here. Warren Buffett.
Yes.
Had said at one time, I don't think wealthy people pay enough money. Well, then Warren...
Pay more.
Pay more, exactly.
Write a check, brother.
Another check.
There's no limit.
Don't talk about it.
There's no limit on what you can pay for taxes.
Just do it.
If you choose to pay more, you can legally pay
Yes.
more.
Dear IRS, here's your second check. Other than that, shut the hell up.
And if you're going to do that...
Yes.
Don't take it as a tax write-off for next year.
Right.
No.
Right.
No,
right?
Donald Trump is absolutely correct. When you decide that you're going to... Is it illegal for all these tax laws? For literally thousands of pages? And there are loopholes.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't like the loopholes...
Close them.
Close them.
Right.
Write something else.
Right.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm gonna send the IRS 1 penny more than I owe.
No, I refuse.
No, here's why. Then when I get into any tax debates with any wing
I
nuts,
overpay my taxes.
I'm going to say I voluntarily overpaid my taxes as a conservative. So don't tell me I don't do my part.
Me. Well, and listen, we've talked about this before.
Come on. That's as good as joining the ACLU just to carry the card.
I'm a card-carrying member of the ACLU and the Southern Poverty Center. But we've talked about this before.
The Southern Poverty Center. Oh.
We saw what they did to Romney.
You saw what they did to Pepe the Frog.
Yes. Poor Pepe.
Oh,
but this has
poor
been
frog.
an attack, again, on his status, on his success, versus anything about what he has done or could do as the president. It had nothing else to do, but same thing with Romney. They went after Bain and all this other stuff. It's the tear down the rich guy, right? Well, it's not a fault to be successful.
No. Well, unless you're a leftist, then it's
right.
evil.
And that's the amazing part of how they spin that. And I think she brought up, that few businesses that he has that bankrupt. And I just laughed because Jersey Joe and I talked about this a long time ago on his show, Reaver Common Sense. I said, what about all the businesses that have been ridiculously successful? He doesn't have his own plane because everything kept going under. You find me another entrepreneur that has the success rate that he has. Yes, is everything going to be a win? Absolutely not.
No, and any businessman worth their salt will tell you that they've made terrible mistakes. They have, in fact, gone bankrupt before. They've learned from their mistakes and attacked things from other directions and been successful. And then perhaps they even went bankrupt again.
Right.
That's normal.
Right.
If you don't want people to go bankrupt, if you don't want these chapters to exist, change the law.
Right, but they won't.
They won't.
Jersey Joe's pointing out 97% success rate in business ventures started by Donald Trump. So there you go on that. Clint, your look back on the debate?
I thought, here's my thought on the debate. I thought that Donald Trump did fairly well at the beginning, the first part of the debate. He did well. Look, whether you like Donald Trump, you don't like Donald Trump, like Hillary Clinton, don't like Hillary Clinton, think the whole thing's a mess, whatever it is, if you're a reasonable person, in my opinion, you can't. Donald Trump has been there. He's been in the private sector. He knows how to create jobs. He knows how to build wealth. I don't care if his dad gave him $1 million, $14 million. Doesn't matter. Because
that money would have been pissed away by now if he didn't know what he was doing.
Exactly.
Right.
If he didn't know what he built that into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. If he sent some of his manufacturing away to China, I don't care. Like, that's even more proof that he knows what's broken and what is needed to keep business here. I don't hold that against the man because as a businessman, he's trying to, like, I don't like seeing jobs go overseas. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is he did that when he was in a businessman role and he needed to ensure his company was profitable. So he knows what forced him to do that. He knows what it takes to keep jobs here, and I believe he there's no doubt that he has the knowledge and the experience to do that.
I agree.
He has that in spades over Hillary Clinton. And if somebody wants to debate that, I think that would be a foolish debate to get into.
How much wealth has the Hill Dog ever created?
No,
not
this is
taken, created.
Correct. And this is my point. So I think when Donald Trump was on topic with that stuff, he was hitting her pretty good. Look, he was talking about major tax cuts and reforming the tax code and making the climate more business friendly and so forth and creating jobs. Hillary straight up said she was going to raise taxes and redistribute wealth. I mean, that has been proven over and over.
She's never worked private sector.
No, but even so, she was totally complaining about trickle down economics, and we know trickle down economics works because we know what creates the jobs. It's not like that wealth just gets pocketed and no jobs are ever created. Donald Trump
slapped the bag.
Donald Trump made a great case for himself,
right?
When it comes to that, and Hillary Clinton painted herself as a progressive, redistributional socialist in that regard.
Right.
So there's a clear distinction there.
Yeah, she was really reaching out for the Bernie supporters.
She was, and in that respect, I think Trump had her hands down. Trump started to get away from himself when Hillary went on the personal attacks,
right? And
he started playing defense. Now. I think Hillary had a great line when she said, I did stay home. I was preparing for this debate, and I was preparing to become president of the United States. Great line on Hillary's behalf. I mean, that's a memorable line for Hillary Clinton, and I think she scored some points with that. Hillary was smart in that she knew that if she were to attack Trump, he would kind of become off his game, get unhinged, because that's how he responds, and he did. He started going down that road, which is a road that people don't like that part of him. I think overall, because Donald Trump did fairly well in the beginning on the issues, because he did better than I think some people thought he would do, and Hillary performed kind of as expected,
yes,
and it was a real vanilla debate,
yes,
I think that you have to kind of, I would call it a draw. There were most of the media networks that I saw put Donald Trump as the winner,
except for CNN.
The
CNN, Clinton News Network put Hillary in front.
Right, everybody else put Trump as the winner of that debate by a large margin, and CNN put Hillary Clinton,
including a lot of liberal rags, put him ahead.
Time Magazine, put him ahead.
Yeah,
but
as did Newsweek.
But I would say I think that between Donald Trump's economic policy when he was on point and Hillary Clinton doing a pretty good job of staying on offense, to me that was a draw. So I don't think that, I think Hillary's in trouble a little bit. I think that she went into this debate, she was already sliding in the polls. Trump was gaining ground. He was gaining momentum.
No, you just ruined sliding down polls. Go ahead.
I just said Hillary Clinton and sliding down polls in the same sentence.
Brain bleach. One cup, please, right now.
I think that she needed to really dominate this debate in order to stifle Trump's gains, and she didn't do that.
Let me ask you this as far as his strategy, Clint, and I'll give you plenty of time to respond. Do you think that he intentionally held back a lot and that she kind of came out swinging heavy and early? Like, I kind of
I don't think she came out swinging. I think she came out swinging early. She swung heavier. Once it was like a shark with blood in the water.
Well, I look at like a boxer with rope-a-dope, right?
Right.
He kind of went out, took his first few pokes, and then just laid back on let her punch herself out. We still have other debates. I'm not throwing this all out now. And I think like she was trying to set the tone, right, with the personal attacks. Well, now those are out of the bag. This is only the first debate. The last couple, or the last one's going to be the most memorable before the polls.
Right.
She can't go back to the personal attacks on that same level. It's already gone.
Right.
So in a way, I almost wonder if he didn't go exactly as planned, maybe not word for word, but at least with the strategy.
Yeah, look, but then he comes out and he says, yeah, the gloves are coming off. I'm going to hit her hard next time. I think he really has to be careful of that. I think he did himself a service by when she attacked him on women. He really did a service by not having a personal attack, which he could have done.
Right.
I think that showed people that he took the higher road,
right,
which is more presidential. I don't think he should come out and hit her on that personal level. I really don't. But he missed an opportunity there to talk about the Clinton Foundation. And the Clinton Foundation taking money from countries that famously mistreat women, such as Saudi Arabia and so forth. So I think there was a missed opportunity there. He also didn't get an opportunity to hammer home the emails. Now, I will say this. I think the moderator made it a little bit easier for Hillary, and I know I may take some heat from that from some folks on the left.
Oh, no, I think Lester Holt went light on her.
But here's why I say that. Trump got 6 follow-up questions, and he had questions specifics to hard issues, which, look, they're viable issues. I think Trump should have been taken to task on his birther stance in the past, and I think Trump should have been taken to task on his failure to release his income tax records. I think those were fair, and I'm not saying that those were not fair questions. What was not fair is that the moderator did not then come back to Hillary Clinton and hit her on the Clinton Foundation or the emails.
Or the Clinton birther.
Or the Clinton birther. But even
hang on a second.
This
is what makes me mad about that.
Hang on a second. You asked me to respond. Let me finish responding. No, I get what you're saying. But,
okay.
But in that case, if I remember right, it was a member of her campaign and she fired that person. If I remember right.
Yeah, but she had some quotes about it.
Maybe, but the birther thing was really pushed by Trump. I think if you're looking at Trump's 2 major things to hit him on, I think birther is fair, and I think his tax records are fair.
I'm not saying it's not fair, but
Clinton,
the attack should be on both sides.
For Clinton, if you're going to attack 2 things, let's say 2 things. For Trump, those were his. For Clinton, if you're going to hit on 2, I wouldn't hit on birther. I'd hit on either Benghazi and emails, or I'd hit on Clinton Foundation and emails, those 2 things. But she didn't get hit with any of that. And that's why I think the moderator was definitely slanted Clinton, and why that was unfair to Trump. What I was happy about is that Trump didn't personalize it and attack the moderator personally. What I didn't like is when he interrupted the moderator. Because even though he's getting hit, and this is where Trump can get himself into trouble, I think that as in terms of he's trying to be president of the United States, you sit back and you take that, you make the moderator look like an ass, and if you're answering the question and the moderator interrupts, same kind of thing. But I think when he talked over the moderator, I just, every time he did it, I just kind of cringed, particularly when you're Donald Trump and you already have an image issue.
Right, but I also feel on some level that he knows he's getting a completely biased media. And one of the things he's done really well is pointing out when it's being biased.
He has, but it worked well for the Republican primaries. But people they're not there anymore. He won that primary. That voting block is his.
I still think you got to put it out there. I really do.
But those people, the people that are up for grabs right now, those light Dems, those Republicans that are on the fence, those independents, that's not what they want to hear. They don't want to see a presidential candidate getting crappy with a moderator. That's not what they want to see, and I think he's going to get in trouble. He's going to hurt himself with that, and I think that's why Hillary Clinton tried to attack him hard, trying to provoke that response and reaction, and he needs to be careful.
I don't disagree.
You just think you like to call BS.
Well, it's one of the things that he has done well is intentionally said things to manipulate media and get gross coverage.
He hasn't, but the game's changed. You can't
net coverage.
It has. Because, look,
I don't know.
He has his block.
Right.
He has his block. Those people are voting for him. Those numbers are not moving. He now needs to shift gears personality-wise and make himself seem like he can have the temperament to do the job.
Well, and I want to get BZ's response to the same question. But I just think that if he can't lose that little bit of that pit bull in him, because his supporters have come to respect that about him. I think that's key. BZ, same style of question. What do you think about the debate? And your debate reaction.
I frankly was a little bit surprised that the number of media sites that came out and said that he won was as highly numbered as it was. I expected the bulk of the media to say that Hillary Clinton won. It was no surprise to hear that CNN said that she won and won large.
Right.
But it was
she
interesting.
She literally could have fallen asleep halfway through.
On
and
CNN
would have called her the winner. Right.
Yes, right. Let's put narcolepsy to bed, shall we? So to speak.
Oh my God! I just put the two together. Her passing out in the van and that tagline on a T-shirt.
84 million watched this debate. I think that's the most ever in history. Lester Holt proved again who he was. Lester Holt, oddly enough, is from Sacramento.
And
which is kind of strange.
Can I comment about Lester for a second?
Sure.
I'd actually had a little bit more hope. Not great hope. I thought he would have been a little bit better. Lester Holt.
He's not known as being the massive leftist that like a Crowley.
He keeps his politics pretty quiet.
Fairly, yes.
Do I think he's a leftist? Absolutely. But I think that also goes to show you that it's not his questions that he's being forced. Whoever is that moderator oftentimes is just a talking head. Clint, do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I was hoping you would have had a little bit more than that.
No. I've talked a lot.
No, listen, his retort was succinct, if nothing else.
And now over to Clint for some in-depth analysis.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Back to you, BC. Thanks. 7 minutes, go. No.
Holt interrupted Donald Trump 41 times. He interrupted Hillary Clinton 7 times. Holt challenged Trump with follow-up questions 6 times. Holt did not have one challenge question for Hillary Clinton.
And now, let me go back to you, Clint, because we had the discussion a moment ago about the interruptions. 41 times. I interrupt you 6 times, maybe a show in a 2-hour thing.
Right, you interrupt me 6 times in a matter of 10 minutes.
Right? It gets aggravating.
Right.
It does. And I fully admit it. I do it too on purpose.
No, here's why. Look, it doesn't get aggravating for me because I think we have good back and forth, and I know you're not doing it to be a jerk most of the time. Most of the time.
Too bad you couldn't see the look on Sean's face, ladies and gentlemen.
Most of the time. No, because look, we engage in good discussion. So for us, it's different. But if it's in a debate format, if I'm asking you a question, when we call each other on that, for the most part, I think what I've noticed is when I ask you a question, you respond, and then I interrupt, or vice versa, kind of like earlier, right? I was like, hey, wait a second, you asked me a question,
which never happens,
right? So I think that's different than you and I.
Which speaks to your point, Sean, about Trump bridling just a bit and interrupting Lester Holt.
Yeah.
Yeah, what goes around comes around. He was perceiving that he was chopped off at the knees, so you're going to get some Donald Trump coming back at you.
And I think, first of all, I think the interruptions were intentional to try to get him aggravated. I really do. I think that they're going to try to push his buttons to get him to kind of get frantic and get loud. But I don't care who you are and what debate you're in. 41 times when you're interrupted by the moderator while you're trying to make your point, I think you have the right to push back.
Certainly. That's human nature.
And I think for him, he actually handled it well.
To be honest, Donald Trump overall did a little bit better than I hoped. One particular point that to me, just out of the perspective, was significantly galling was Lester Holt's and much of leftists, their interpretation of stop and frisk.
Yes.
And the statement by Lester Holt that stop and frisk is unconstitutional.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, stop and frisk is not unconstitutional.
It has been upheld.
From a female judge who had an initial ruling that said that, in her opinion, she thought the New York Police Department, that was unconstitutional. However, that particular judge was cut off at the knees by another federal judge. The ruling did not stand, which leftists will not tell you. They'll simply conclude that it was unconstitutional. Trump pushed back, and Trump was right. And then Rudy Giuliani came back and said, and here's why. Terry versus Ohio. Every baby cop on the planet that came out of the United States Law Enforcement Academy knows about Terry versus Ohio. There are 3 types of encounters. There's a consensual encounter, there's reasonable suspicion, and then there's probable cause. You have to have some kind of amount of reasonable suspicion.
Hold on, I'm trying to write that down.
To stop and frisk someone. So
cause.
NYPD has continuously had that. Now the policy is such that under de Blasio, and this is how he ran, is that he was going to make it now a policy. It's not law. It's not unconstitutional that the department itself, with Bratton as a police commissioner now, they've stopped stop and frisk. That is a policy. That is not a law.
And crime has
and
gone up
the law
considerably.
is Terry v. Ohio.
Yes.
It's not stop and frisk.
It's not stop and frisk. It's Terry v. Ohio. It's been on the books for a little while.
62,
like at least a month.
Yes, it's from the 1960s. It's never been overturned by the Supreme Court.
Like I said,
never.
BZ, at least a month.
It's actually been affirmed by the Supreme Court many of times.
They've looked at it and said this case was Terry v. Ohio.
I affirmed. Yeah, we all agree.
But still, Lester Holt, people will take away that falsehood from that debate and say and continue, Donald Trump is a liar, Lester Holt knows what he's talking about. Lester Holt doesn't.
Right, Lester must know. He wouldn't have hosted the debate if he didn't know.
There were some things that I would very much like to have heard Donald Trump talk about. Okay. And it might be right. You were mentioning that maybe that's his strategy.
Long-term
is
game.
To not throw everything against the wall in one debate up front, but I would like to have heard him say something about the 5 aides that were given immunity by the FBI, her reckless secret server, the multiple false statements about how her extremely careless actions endangered our national security.
And I also think he's waiting for an Assange release.
Oh, that's another topic.
To go down that.
Her basket of deplorables insult towards literally millions of Americans. The Clinton Foundation's pay-to-play. Her failures and lies on the attacks in Benghazi. Here's something interesting about Benghazi. My wife was a staunch Democrat until she met me. And initially, when we began dating, she would laugh and say, ha, my vote just cancels your vote out, until I actually started talking to her about it. She said, no way in hell, just by watching that movie, 13 Hours in Benghazi, and what they did to our American soldiers, there's no way in hell that I would even remotely consider voting for Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
Clinton's support for Obamacare, her deep support from and ties to Wall Street, the Veterans Affairs scandals that she arrogantly called, they're not widespread. Her comments saying up front that she wants to put the coal industry out of business, and then you want to go trumping around in Virginia when you're telling all those people there that you want to kill their jobs. Her deception, her lack of transparency, about her health and just about every issue.
Everything else with her.
She is such a target-rich environment.
And I think that we will see it over time. We're up against a break, but before we go to break, we got to wish a very happy birthday to
Kitten.
To Kitten, one of the most amazing people that we know, all joking aside in the show. Truly a brother of ours and a man that we love very much. Outstanding talk show host, father, human being, person, and, a great dancer, and that's just by birth. And, of course, I'm talking to the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. the Exceptional Conservative Show. I'm reading that he is 50 today, 50. And I don't believe that because he doesn't look a day over 55.
No, he doesn't.
I mean,
not at all.
Not a day
Nope.
over 55. So, in an unrelated note, I just want to discuss how crazy it is that the song Happy Birthday is copyrighted.
Wait, what?
For those people who
I thought it was in the public domain.
For those people who don't know it, I think we should sing it and then talk about it for a brief second, which is totally different than actually singing it. For Ken, are you down to sing the song so everyone knows what they're talking about?
Yes.
BZ, will you help us out?
Oh, certainly.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ken.
Not Ken. Not at all Ken.
Not Ken. Not Ken. To kitten.
Kitten.
I said Kenton.
Right, to a kitten.
To kitten.
Right.
Not specific.
Not
kitten.
to non-denominational.
Happy birthday to you.
Now, in honor of Kitten's birthday, Camptown races. What?
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 Hey, where are the white women at?
Happy
Where
birthday.
are they? They're not here.
Happy birthday, Mr. Exceptional One. We love you. We're up against a break. When we come back, Comey was back on the Hill today, and man, is this going to be a fun portion of the show. Right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying Kyle from a stupid program.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reverb Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplains.dailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. For everybody that's yelling at us for singing, go to hell.
Who is yelling at us about singing?
It doesn't matter. I mean that in the nicest possible way, but you know what? It's Ken. It's the least we can do. Right?
Yeah.
And we always do the least we can do.
What I meant was, it's the...
Look, after all the racist jokes you make about that man... My favorite was when you said...
What do you mean, you people?
Yeah.
What do you mean, you people?
Oh, look, three-fifths of a person just walked in.
And then you corrected me to 7/5.
Right.
And I was like, that's not nice.
Right. I was like, hey, should Ken become a voting member of SHR? You were like, why not? We'll outvote him every time. He's only 3/5.
All in favor? Don't even bother,
Don't
Ken.
even bother, Ken. It's all funny
in
until
favor.
you lose by 3/5 of a vote, huh? Damn, 1 3/5 to 2. Dang it.
Are you kidding me? So you're saying that the three guys that host a talk show aren't great singers? If we were good singers, guess what we would be doing?
Yeah.
Singing.
Not this.
Hosting a damn talk show.
Right.
Exactly. Gosh, you know...
Who said that? Who said that?
I'm not saying it.
Who said it?
Let's see. I think Jersey Joe said my ears are bleeding. Carrie said it was really bad. I got like 12...
Who said it was really bad?
Carried in the chat room. I got like 12 different text messages almost immediately. 3 tweets and 2 Facebook messages. And that's people who haven't heard the replay yet.
Hey, you know what? F them if they can't take a joke.
Hey, you know what? I'm still going to
what?
sing happy birthday to my buddy. And that's just the
Sackheads.
We. Sackheads is a former boy band. Yes, that's exactly what we are. Speaking of boy bands, the House Oversight Committee.
Boy bands. Isn't that a cock ring?
No.
Isn't that what it's called?
Oh.
Is that, or am I thinking of something else?
Wow. All righty then. The best in late night talk radio.
See you next Wednesday night, ladies and gentlemen. 'Cause we can't
Yeah.
top
Good night, everybody.
Oh, that was a line. After all of that.
Yeah, you
That
know,
was
the
a
rest
line.
the rest of it from now until 10 o'clock is simply superfluous.
Oh.
You know what?
Clint for the win. All right. That's it.
Maybe that
We're
should
done.
Be, maybe that should be tagged, and that should be a commercial.
Yeah, yeah, let's get right on that. Because, you know, every good advertising had the word cock ring in it. That'll really get you the listeners.
I'm sorry, are you still saying something? Because I dropped the mic a while ago.
Okay.
Oh, and we're all sober. That's the amazing part about this.
Right?
We're all sober. Oh, wow. So, anyhow...
How do you? Now what do we do? Now what do we do?
I gotta talk about Comey in the House Oversight.
That's right. How do you follow that
shitting
up?
Me?
It's just, you know, great comment, but thanks.
Ken, save us. It's your birthday. Go, Shoddy.
Gentlemen,
it's your birthday.
Gentlemen, I'm very, very well pleased with the motivation for that type of language. I believe in cock too. And listen, that's why I married Michelle.
Sorry, I didn't realize we had the president on the phone. I thought the exceptional one was calling in for his birthday. Apparently, I was mistaken.
Hey, so first of all, Mr. President, you should have known you were fucked when you married somebody named Michelle. Second of all. I'm sorry.
Listen, Clint, I'm a big fan of your story, and I was looking forward to hearing your story this afternoon on the radio. especially what you did in the middle of the Pacific, which is why we zoned it all off for you. We love the white spray that you left behind. Great job. Obviously, it's the type of thing that motivates us to keep going with our agenda for climate change, no matter what the climate change is into. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. President. By the way, congratulations on having your veto overridden.
We are working on that as we speak. We are making certain that Hillary Rodham couldn't have the list of those who voted for the veto, and we will be having special elections in a couple of weeks to replace all those who did vote that way. Nothing like government at work.
Hey, Mr. President, somebody who saw you speak at the State of the Union this year, and somebody I know you hold in very, very high regard. Our friend Ken McClinton has a birthday today. He is 50, which I don't know what 3/5 of 50 is, but I'm going to go somewhere around 30.
I'd say so. That's fairly safe.
Is there anything you would like to say to him on his birthday, sir?
I would. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to extend on behalf of Malia, Masha, and all the other Brady kids that I have. And as well, Michelle, who has a lovely G-string on. I just want to say he's a ignorant MF, and I hope he dies soon.
Well, Mr.
I will
President.
never show myself on his show ever. He is an excuse for good racism in our country. Thank you.
Good racism. All right, I'm glad I have you on record with that. Well, sir, we appreciate you calling in. We do have to speak about the leader of your FBI today, Mr. Comey. Your thoughts from him on the Hill?
In my third term, he will still be FBI director. I love Comey. I love him dearly.
Oh, and you have pictures of him, I assume, doing something of ill fame?
Well, they don't call Mr. Weiner the FBI Man of the Week for nothing. I'm just saying. But, gentlemen, I want to thank y'all so much. Thank you all for your song. And listen, Stevie Wonder is sitting here, and he is embarrassed with the rhythmic pattern of your happy birthday song. And listen, in all sincerity, I love you all, and I can't wait to us getting together again in Vegas.
We
love y'all.
We all love you too.
Love you
buddy.
too,
Thank
buddy.
you so much, and happy birthday, my man.
Happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday.
And do me a favor, give Mrs. Biggs a hug and a kiss from all of us.
I can't do that. Michelle's in there now.
and Ken, when I said happy birthday, brother, I meant that in the ER sense and not the A sense of the word.
On the other hand,
I did get the DNA records, Clint, and I have something to tell you after the show.
I knew you were the father.
And also the uncle. That's amazing.
And the mother. Apparently, hermaphrodites are more common than we thought.
Is Ken trying to intimate something about a wood pile?
That took a second for me. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's great.
Love you, BZ, man. You do a great job on my program on Mondays. I love you, man. And I love the way you defend me on this particular program.
That's right, mister.
On the air.
Yeah, on the air. Listen, BZ's over here with a pillowcase and a pair of scissors. Now, it's not important what he's doing, Ken.
But I think it's amazing how he sewed it into a triangle. Or
Right.
more of a cone.
Right. Now, Halloween is coming up.
Right.
So I'm guessing maybe he's going to be a ghost.
Right.
That's all.
And we did have to correct him that it's ghost. You can't say spook. It's actually a
Right.
ghost.
It's ghost.
Right. Because that's not even funny anymore.
No,
And-
it's not. It's not funny.
And Ken, you'll be
at
happy
all.
to know that my title that was given to me as the blatant bigot isn't hanging so strong around my neck anymore. It's kind of floating amongst the room. back from this table to.
You are a great influencer. You are a great influencer. And my only detest here is that you allow BZ in the studio with bottles of Ripple that don't come back out.
Well, here's the thing, Ken. We have to allow BZ in because something about like geriatrics and like people like in the room.
That's right. They're trying to
equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity stuff.
Clint, I got to tell you something. BZ's not Hispanic. I just want to let you know.
Whoa!
Wait, what?
Easy, Ken. What year is it? God.
I know, seriously. No, a blatant bigot Ken, apparently.
Yeah,
Who knew?
wow, huh? It rubs off.
Now that
not your skin color, but,
right, your skin color doesn't rub off.
Right, we all know that.
Now that he's here, though, I think this is a good time to ask the question for all of us here: how much are we going to pay Ken?
Oh, that's a good answer.
3/5 of what we get,
and we'll talk about that next week on the show.
Okay,
Ken,
because we're going to have to pay him. We just have to. I think we should decide fairly soon.
The UN says you owe me reparations.
Yeah, but how much do you pay a guy who carries your luggage?
Well, depends on how far.
It's called a tip, right?
That's called a tip.
And that's to ensure.
And since
prompt
we don't
service.
tip, obviously we know what he's going to get paid.
Listen, I would carry your bags, but unfortunately in Charlotte they burned down the shoe store. So there go those work boots. That's all I can do about that.
Oh, boy. Oh, I know. We get a roll. Comey's waiting for us. Hey, buddy, we love you and happy birthday.
Ken, happy birthday.
Thank you. God bless. Bye-bye.
Can you start, Comey? Because I can't even. All right.
How did he get Obama in here? I want to know that. I mean, I know he's in D.C.
Right. He was in the House with them.
But
No. Obama's not in the House. He's in the presidency.
No, he's in the House.
The House is a different.
No, he's
thing.
in
It's
the
like
House.
the Senate,
with
the House, and the president.
No, not in the House. In the House.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Totally
gotcha.
different.
Gotcha. Sorry. I've been gone.
Director James Comey was on the Hill today by the House Oversight
Whoa,
Committee.
was like the Hill Dog?
No, not the Hill Dog.
Yes.
Just the Hill.
Because that would have been amazing.
You don't want.
I want
photos of
video.
that.
If
Yeah.
anything, she's on him, riding him like a mule.
Right.
To discuss the investigation into one Hill Dog Clinton in her email, but more specifically, they discussed the amount of people that received pardons during the investigation, and there's two different specific types of pardons. Normally, and I'm going to get them backwards, BZ, so jump in because you corrected me earlier, and I won't take offense. Essentially, one pardon is to keep yourself from testifying against yourself, essentially.
Right.
You say something under oath, it cannot be held against you as part of the investigation for prosecution.
Right. Two types of immunity.
The other type of immunity is everything. Hands down, doesn't matter. You're not getting charged no matter what you say, did, whatever.
Right. Qualified immunity and transactional immunity.
Very good. Now, standard is, in this sort of investigation, that they get the qualified, if I'm not mistaken, which is the lighter of the two. You can still be prosecuted, but nothing for the information you give us will be used against you, or can be used against you. That is the standard with this sort of investigation. What happened with these five, Mills, Robbie, intern guy who put in all those idiots, is they get the heavier of the two. They get full immunity, to which raises the question that Trey Gowdy and everybody else on the Hill asked, and I have a couple of clips that we'll play after the break. I don't think we're going to get to them before. Why were they getting this special sort of heavy-duty immunity if there was nothing coming from it? Why would you promise this to them?
See, the funny thing is about all of this is that to me, little of it makes sense. You can say that tactically, we spoke about this earlier, Clint, I think you mentioned it as well, that they may have decided they were going to go this route because they're looking for larger fish. If you're looking for larger fish, a lot of things that went before that didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And then the conclusion that he drew after setting out all these various bullet points and parameters about prosecution, and then the numbskull decides that even though he set down all of these particular talking points, he somehow manages to conclude that it's not worth an indictment.
You know what? At first, I kind of thought I started going down that same road. And then this thought occurred to me, and the whole thing kind of made sense in my mind. These people were taking these actions, setting up these servers, having these communications. And by the way, it did come out that the president had a pseudonym when he was communicating on this server also.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Anyways, I digress. But
he didn't know what he was talking about.
But these people were doing these things on behalf of the Clintons. With a promise, I'm guessing, perhaps, that, oh yeah, I got you, I'll cover you, I got your back. I think that it makes perfect sense that they were granted immunity, not in search of the bigger fish, but to protect them because they were doing something to protect the bigger fish. So this was their payback.
Yes.
They get their immunity. Because even if they didn't, they knew all along they weren't going to prosecute Hillary, well, then they would have to do something with these other littler people. But I think in order to protect them, you give them immunity with the illusion that perhaps you're going after the bigger fish, and then when you don't charge the bigger fish, you've already granted immunity, and so King's X, we can't charge everybody or anybody, and everybody's protected. That's what makes sense to me.
Well,
and until I put it in those terms, I'm sorry, Sean.
No, go ahead.
Until I put it in those terms in my head, it didn't really make sense to me. Why give immunity? You're going after the bigger fish, and then you don't charge the bigger fish. Oh.
Right. Well, and when you're doing an investigation and more keeps coming out, and the scope gets wider and wider,
3 points.
Why would you take that tool away and never be able to use that again? Unless there is some sort of political reason to do so. Now, like I said, I was talking to somebody very close to me today who made 2 astute points. Number one is Hillary Clinton in her debate in running for president right now is no longer running for president. She's running to save her skin. Because if she doesn't win, there's probably going to be a special prosecutor.
There should be.
There should be. But
and listen, if the special prosecutor comes back and says,
"There's nothing.
Hey, there's nothing here,"
right?
I would tend to believe that more. But a true independent special prosecutor.
You're also going to have a House that'll convict her.
Well, the House would have to bring the impeachment. The Senate would convict. But you can't impeach her. She's not in office anymore.
Should she? Well, yeah, that's true. You start going down that. But if
and she's not going to get convicted. Look, I mean, you had McCain and everything even vote against Clinton's conviction for his impeachment.
Yeah, but you know what? This is a different level. I think this is a different level.
I agree, but I still think you're going to. I don't think you're going to have enough to convict in the Senate. I don't.
Well,
but that's if she's elected.
Right, if elected. Either way, that was the first point. Is she is fighting for her life more so than just the presidency.
And can you impeach somebody for a crime that they allegedly committed prior to taking office?
Well, the position she was in was impeachable.
Yes, because she
she's not in that
violated
anymore.
Right,
USC codes.
That doesn't mean that crimes you committed during that doesn't mean that you can't have some sort of charges levied against you.
Charges, I agree, but I don't know if impeachment applies if you're no longer in that position.
Well,
and I don't know the answer to that. That's why I'm saying
I think the answer would be yes on that. I truly do.
Well, I think one leads to the other. That there are violations of U.S. codes.
Yes.
A violation of a U.S. code, if someone decides that they're going to go after Hillary Clinton, if she's installed in office, would then lead possibly, subsequently, to impeachment. But you'd have to go the USC code first.
Yeah. Well,
there are 3 points that I'd like to make.
Go ahead.
Many things are unfolding. We see now that Obama has already been involved in this. And let me state the obvious from the land of Captain Obvious and the Department of Redundancy Department, if I might. And that's this. When Obama is sending emails to her private server, her private email was hrc22@clintonemail.com. Now, you blithering idiot, how do you not know that you're sending something to a private email? That's one particular point. The second point...
How she tried to hide it so well.
Yes, it was...
Nobody ever would have figured that out.
No, certainly not. The other point is that Barack Obama knows full well that if she's indicted or an indictment is recommended...
That was where I was going on the next.
Then it's going to mean possible hands and fingers pointing back at him. What was he doing sending email to a private server when he full well knew it was a private server?
Executive privilege.
And communicating on that.
Executive privilege.
And subjecting his communications to security breaches, which has already occurred.
Executive privilege.
Well, but even with executive privilege, that doesn't mean that
That doesn't mean that you have a right to...
Right, you can't commit a crime.
Executive privilege was already enacted.
Agree.
Wait 1 minute.
Look
Executive privilege was enacted because those emails from Barack Obama were not made public. Just the fact that he sent the emails. But the text, the substance, the context was thrown over the blanket of executive privilege.
Right.
So that's already occurred.
Right. No,
we know
that's,
it's there.
That's my point.
But we won't know the context.
That's my point. We know it's there, but are you really going to, can you go after Obama? No, because he's going to claim executive privilege. I mean, it literally could have been an email. We all know probably not, but it could have been an email that said, happy birthday, or nice dress, or your ass was looking mighty fly in those jeans. I mean, it could have said anything. We don't know.
Yoga classes.
Right. Yeah, weddings.
But the other aspect of that is Obama knows that she knows where a bulk of the bodies are buried in the D.C. Boneyard.
Oh, yeah.
And so if he were to allow, or to even go so far as to recommend, though the Clintons and the Obamas absolutely despise each other, they're not going to do that because one hand washes the back of the other. He knows full well that if he recommends that, or if it does occur, she is in fact indicted, then because of the nature of Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, that she'll start pointing out all the lovely things that I'm sure are buried in the barnyards of D.C. due to Barack Obama.
Well, and again, I think his biggest fear is that if she gets pushed against a wall and has to start talking,
she'll spill.
Benghazi will come out.
Yes. Well, Benghazi, that's my third point. Thank you, Sean. And that's it. Assange is coming. Next week, perhaps week after. I think we're going to find out that Libya and Clinton, we have some lovely gun running going on.
I think we're going to find out a lot of dirty information.
I think we're going to find out much.
Yes, we will. Just before the break, Jersey Joe just sent me a text. She still can be impeached as Secretary of State per a lawyer that he was watching on a talk show the other night who laid it out, how she could still be impeached as her time for Secretary of State. So I would go with that. I seem to remember hearing that before, which is why I was fairly confident about it. And the other biggest takeaway that I wanted to bring up that this person really close to me said is it's scary when you see a guy like Comey, who his whole career has been bipartisan and has done a really good job of staying out of the politics, gets pushed into a situation like this, and will go against everything he knows to be right to save himself on some level. It shows you the amount of leverage those people are holding over him.
Yes, I cannot tell you how greatly disappointed I am in James Comey.
I do as well. All right, folks, we're up against a break. We come back. We're going to pick up the Comey hearings a little bit. I have at least one sound clip I want to play. It's Trey Gowdy in his entirety. You know how much I love to listen to Trey. Listen to him all day. We'll get all that more on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying Kaufman is stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reverb Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. It's the last 30 minutes of this crazy rodeo that we call the Sackheads. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Before we went to break, we were talking about FBI Director Comey making his way back to the Hill for the Oversight Committee. There's so many great video clips from today, or audio clips.
I put some, by the way, in chat because I think that that's what you're going to go to. You're going to Trey Gowdy, Jason Chaffetz. Oh, wow.
Chaffetz ripped it. And so when we were in pre-production, I have to start picking and choosing my battles, right? We only have so much time in the show, and they're
Right.
longer clips. And all of them are clips that you kind of get to play the entirety, or you're going to miss some substance. They did
Yes.
a really good job. But I had to pick and choose my battles.
We've got 26 minutes, so we've got, yeah.
So I want to start first. I'm going to go for Trey.
Really?
All right. I'll hold off on Trey.
Hold off on Trey. Let's start with Chaffetz.
We're going to start with ISA.
Okay.
Because I thought
Not
ISIS.
ISIS.
Not ISIS.
Daryl
Issa, Representative Issa, who's been relatively quiet the last
Yes, he
couple
has
months.
been.
So this was kind of old Issa, if you will.
Combat immunity. Did you do so knowing about all of the posts he had on Reddit and capturing all of those posts and correspondence where he was asking how to wipe or completely erase on behalf of a VVIP, so to speak?
I'm not sure sitting here. My recollection is, and I'll check this and fix it if I'm wrong, that we had some awareness of the Reddit posts. I don't know whether our folks had read them all or not. We had a pretty good understanding of what we thought he had done, but that's my best recollection.
Okay, in the last week, in mass, he's been deleting them from Reddit posts. Is that consistent with preserving evidence? And I say that because there's still an ongoing interest by Congress, and only in spite of Reddit's own senior, what they call FLAC team, trying to hide it, only because a few people caught it, do we even know about it, and is this and other committees interested in getting the backups that may exist on these deletions. I guess my question to you is he destroying evidence relevant to congressional inquiries? And I'll answer it for you, yes, he is. And what are you going to do about it?
That's not something I can comment on.
Well, let me go into something that concerns this body in a very specific way. As a former chairman issuing subpoenas, I issued a subpoena, and additionally I issued preserved letters. In addition to that, now Chairman Chaffetz issued what were effectively preserved letters. Some of them were directly to Hillary Rodham Clinton while she was still secretary. Others, the subpoena in 2013 was to Secretary Kerry. These individuals destroyed documents pursuant or took it out of federal custody pursuant to our subpoena and our discovery. As a result, they committed crimes. My question to you is, when I was a chairman and I wanted to grant immunity to somebody, I had to go notice the Department of Justice, and you were consulted. Isn't that correct?
In a particular matter?
In any matter.
I don't know whether the FBI is consulted in that circumstance.
Okay, for the record, yes, the Department of Justice does not grant immunity without checking with federal law enforcement to see whether it'll impact any ongoing investigation. That's the reason we have a requirement to give notice. When the reverse was occurring, you were handing out like candy, according to some, immunity. Did you, or to your knowledge, Department of Justice, confer with Chairman Goodlatte, Chairman Chaffetz, Chairman Smith, or any of the other chairmen who had ongoing subpoenas and investigations?
Not to my knowledge.
So isn't there a double standard that when you granted immunity to these 5 individuals, you took them out of the reach of prosecution for crimes committed related to destruction of documents or withholding or other crimes pursuant to congressional subpoenas?
I don't think anybody was given transactional immunity.
Oh, really? Now, we have not allowed to make your immunities public, but I'm going to take the privilege of making one part of it public. I read them. You gave immunity from destruction to both of those attorneys, not just turning them over, the documents over, specifically destruction. You did the same thing with these other 2 individuals, Brian and Paul Cabrera. You gave them immunity from destruction.
Yeah, I don't think, well, again, I could always be wrong, but I don't have them in front of me either.
Well, because you don't let us take them out of the SCIF, it's a little hard for us too. But the fact is, when you read them...
My answer, I'm pretty sure that what was granted was use immunity. In the case of those 2 people, coextensive with 18 U.S.C. 6001, which means no statement you make can be used against you directly or indirectly. Transactional immunity is sometimes given also by prosecutors, says you will not be prosecuted in any event for this set of facts. I don't think there was any transactional immunity.
Well, when I read for both of the attorneys that immunity was granted, it's in both cases said destruction.
So that's pretty cut and dry. And Issa wasn't his old explosive self. Remember how animated he used to get?
Oh, yeah.
He used to get really good at it. And I'm sure he's done a really good job. And I've had my issues with Darrell Issa, but he's done a really good job of letting the new regime kind of start stepping in and taking over, which I give him a lot of credit for. So I thought that was a great clip. It wasn't as exciting, like I said, but there was a lot of good facts there.
Yes. He was very measured in his response, which is good, very professional. Can't say it's not. And then catching Comey in what amounts to a lie.
Well,
Comey said, I don't know, I'm not sure, I could be wrong. He covered his butt.
Yeah, equivocate.
Yeah, he didn't give 100% yes or no. So let's move on, because it's getting a little bit better. And I'm going to go with Chaffetz for number 2. Again, another longer clip, but definitely worth the listen.
Oh, yeah, here it comes.
For your accessibility, you have been very readily available, and we do appreciate that. This investigation started because the Inspector General found classified information in a non-secure setting, and the FBI went to a law firm and found this information. They seized at least 1 computer and at least 1 thumb drive. Did you need an immunity agreement to get those?
It was not. I don't think there was immunity. In fact, I'm certain there was no immunity agreement used in connection with that.
So, did it really take the FBI a full year to figure out that Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson also had computers with classified information on?
No. It took us to that point in the investigation to insist that we try to get them.
Were you getting them because they had classified information or because there was some other information you wanted?
No, we thought those were the tools, as we understood it, that had been used to sort the emails. And the investigative team very much wanted to understand, if they could, whether there was an electronic hail of how that had been done. Because the big issue was, what did they delete, what did they keep?
But why did you need an immunity agreement? Why didn't they just cooperate and hand them over? The law firm did, didn't they?
Oh, yes. That's a question really I can't answer. That's between a lawyer and her client and the Justice Department lawyers. For whatever reason, her lawyer thought it was in her interest to get an active production immunity agreement with the Department of Justice.
I want to stop that there for a second, because he knew this immunity was being granted.
Yes.
So when he says between the lawyer, the client, and the Department of Justice, first of all, he's a representative of the Department of Justice. Two, he's the second highest representative of the Department of Justice on one of the most public cases against a public official and ever, possibly. You knew what was going on.
That's exactly my point. It's his job with a political hot potato like this. He was briefed every damn day.
Absolutely was. Moving on with him.
The FBI interviewed David Kendall's partner, but did not interview David Kendall. Why didn't you interview David Kendall?
I don't remember. I don't remember that decision.
Going back to this Reddit post, this is put up on July 24th of 2014. You believe this to be associated with Mr. Gambetta, correct?
Yes, I think that's right.
This is the one that Mr. Jordan put up about the need to strip out a VIP's very VIP email address and a bunch of archived email. This is he's referring to a federal record, isn't he?
I don't know exactly which records he's referring to.
How is this not a conscious effort to alter federal records? I mean, the proximity to the date is just stunning.
Sorry, what's the question?
How is this not a conscious effort to alter a federal record?
Well, depending on what the record was and exactly what he was trying to do, and whether there would be disclosure to the people they were producing it to, saying we changed this for privacy purposes. I just don't know sitting here.
These are documents that were under subpoena. These federal records were under subpoena. They were under a preservation order. Did Mr. Gambetta destroy documents?
I don't know whether that was true in July of 2014. They were under subpoena.
Did he ultimately destroy federal records, Mr. Gambetta?
Oh, I have no reason to believe he destroyed federal records.
He used BleachBit, did he not?
Yeah, the question is what was already produced before he used the BleachBit. He definitely. The reason he wanted immunity was he had done the BleachBit business after there was publicity about the demand from Congress for the records. That's a potential.
Not just publicity. There was a subpoena.
Right. That's potential.
And there was communication from Cheryl Mills that there was a preservation order, correct?
And this is where I worry about the political side of this. Comey is not a stupid man.
Right.
He knows exactly what Chaffetz is getting at. Chaffetz is being so apparent in his comments.
Yes.
There's no mincing words.
But Comey is dancing around the issue.
And Comey's attempting to be coy, and it doesn't play well with Comey.
Comey is attempting to not have himself held in contempt.
Yes.
Or perjure himself.
Correct.
He is in total defense mode right now. It's absolutely frightening.
And he's not answering the question.
No.
Not at all.
No, he's
so
absolutely...
he's not lying.
Right.
No, he's tap dancing
I don't
very
think he
nimbly
destroyed
as best
the record.
he can.
He didn't destroy the record.
Right.
Okay, he altered it. Well, I don't know which records specifically he...
Yeah. Oh, the BleachBit business. Words like that, when you throw the word business on the end, is to try to lessen what it was and make it seem inconsequential.
Right.
Moving on.
Yes.
And he did indeed use BleachBit on these records.
Sure. That's why the guy wouldn't talk to us without immunity.
And so when you got immunity, what did you learn?
We learned that no one had directed him to do that. That he had done it.
You really think that he just did this by himself?
I think his account, again, I never affirmatively believe anybody except my wife. But the question is, do I have evidence to disbelieve him? And I don't.
Stupid man.
His account is credible that he was told to do it in 2014, screwed up and didn't do it, panicked when he realized he hadn't, and then raced back in and did it after Congress asked for the records and the New York Times wrote about them. That was his SHIT moment. But that was credible. Again, I don't believe people, but we did not have evidence to disbelieve that and establish someone told him to do that. No email, no phone call, nothing. The hope was, if he'd been told to do that, that'd be a great piece of evidence. If we give him immunity, maybe he'll tell us, so-and-so told me to, so-and-so asked me to, and then we're working up the chain.
And here's the thing with immunity and prosecutors. And just about anybody who's dealt with this on any level will tell you, you don't give immunity unless you are 100% that you are getting what you want in return. Very rarely will you give immunity on even 80%, because you will have to answer on the other side, like this, why you gave an immunity to a criminal or a potential criminal. And it's very strange to give immunity without being damn close to 100% that you're going to get the information you seek. This is, again, one of the most publicized and public investigations against a public official. Number 2 to Nixon.
I would say this is more public than Nixon.
I would say number 2 to Nixon because of what office he held, and more so than Clinton because he was lying about a blowjob. I'm just saying. That's just my opinion. But
This was worse than Nixon.
No, okay. I agree with you that what was done was way worse than Nixon.
Okay.
Way worse than Nixon. I'm just saying that this is more public because of social media. More people are involved in this country. Where is she trying to go right now? And the amount of BS cover-up that has gone with it, and she was acting Secretary of State. And, like you said, the violation of state security, which was not an issue with Nixon.
Right.
It's a big deal.
Nixon choreographed what was basically a misdemeanor in the state of California.
Right.
Yes. No. That's a viable issue.
It was
That's
in
exactly a good
it was
point.
A trespassing and a damage to property, a vandalism. That's all Nixon covered up.
Right. Right.
Moving on.
He did indeed destroy federal records, and he was told at some point to do this, correct? Who told him to do that initially? When he was supposed to do it in December, and he didn't do it. Who told him to do that?
One of Secretary Clinton's staff members, I can't remember sitting here, we know that. One of her lawyers might have been Cheryl Mills. Someone on the team said, we don't need those emails anymore, get rid of the archive file.
This is what's unbelievable about this, because there's classified information, there are federal records that were indeed destroyed. And that's just the fact pattern. Let's go back to this. Here's the other thing that I draw to your attention that is new. September 15th of this year, I issued a subpoena from the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. On these Reddit posts, 4 days later, they were destroyed or taken down. They were deleted. I would hope the FBI would take that into consideration. Again, we're trying under a properly issued subpoena to get to this information. Let's go to Heather Mills real quick. How does in the 2016 interview with Cheryl Mills, she says, quote, Mills did not learn, in the interview report, the interview summary from the FBI, Mills did not learn Clinton was using a private email server until after Clinton's tenure. Back, also, you have this interview with Mr. Pagliano, who said he approached, quote, Pagliano then approached Cheryl Mills in her office and relayed a State Department employee's concerns regarding federal records retention and the use of a private server. Pagliano remembers Mills replying that former secretaries of state had done similar things, to include Colin Powell. It goes then on to a page 10, and this is what I don't understand. The FBI...
To which Colin Powell said, oh, hell no.
No, you're not throwing this black man under the bus. Thank you very much.
By the way, I sleep in my back and I have no heart issues and I don't sleep with a pillow on my face. All of those things were said by Colin Powell recently. Oh, and...
he doesn't want to die in a park with his pants around his ankles.
Right, and he wasn't dicking bimbos.
I writes, Clinton's immediate aides, to include Mills, Abedin, Sullivan, and a redacted name, told the FBI they were unaware of the existence of a private server until after Clinton's tenure at State, or when it became public knowledge. But if you look back at the email from Heather Mills, if you go back to 2010, this is to Justin Cooper, okay? Mills to Cooper. who does not, he works for Clinton's. He doesn't work for the State Department. FYI, HRC email coming back. Is server okay? Cooper writes back, you are funny. We're on the same server. She knew there was a server. When there was a problem with Rod Clinton's emails, what did they do? She called the person who has no background in this, who's not a State Department employee, no security clearance, and then tells the FBI, well, I never knew about that. But there's direct evidence that contradicts this. How do
Oh, that's the, when
I wanted to hear the follow-up question.
How do you come to that conclusion and write that in the summary statement that she had no knowledge of this?
That's the question.
Yes.
The time of the gentleman has expired, but the director will answer the question.
I don't remember exactly sitting here. Having done many investigations myself, there's always conflicting recollections of facts, some of which are central, some of which are peripheral. I don't remember sitting here about that one.
Okay, finally. Is something wrong with HRC's email? Is the server okay?
Very funny. We're on the same
We're
server.
on the same server.
Yeah.
But she had no idea. Holy batshit awesome.
Is the parenthesis illegal, end of parenthesis, server okay?
Yeah, exactly. Not legal. Finally, of course, we have the guy who... by the way, I think Chaffetz is going to have a bright future. He's another guy I don't always agree with everything that comes out of his mouth.
No, but he's making some good moves here.
And I think he's very smart and he's very good at what he does. And I think he does it for the right reasons, even when I don't agree. Finally, Trey Gowdy.
I can't wait.
My favorite.
Bring it. I love
Trey.
this guy.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start by acknowledging progress. I think it's important that we do so. This morning we've had 9 straight Democrats talk to the FBI about emails without asking for immunity. That's a record. The reason that they have not asked for immunity from Director Comey is they would say they've done nothing wrong.
Right out of the gate. I mean,
here's a broadside.
Holy crap.
Right? Here's a broadside. He's been lining up for that all freaking week.
Yes.
Yeah, and the great thing about comedy isn't funny unless it's true.
Right. I mean, that was... You know what the best part is he telegraphed fastball down the middle, see if he can hit it. Comey couldn't touch it. Moving right along.
I find that interesting because that's exactly what Heather Samuelson and Cheryl Mills' attorneys said. In fact, they said it just a few days ago, and I'll quote it. The FBI considered my clients to be witnesses and nothing more. And then Ms. Mills and Ms. Samuelson's attorney said this. I think this is the most interesting part. The Justice Department assured us my clients did nothing wrong. Well, Mr. Chairman, if you're assuring subjects or targets or witnesses, whatever you want to call them, that they've done nothing wrong, it does beg the question, what are you seeking and receiving immunity from? I mean, if you've done nothing wrong, laptops don't go to the Bureau of Prisons, Mr. Chairman. People do. So the immunity was not for the laptop.
You can indict a hand sandwich. That's an old lawyer saying. Go ahead, Clint.
First of all, the lawyer in Trey Gowdy
is amazing.
Is clearly just an amazing man, amazing representative, amazing insight. This is a man who was a U.S. attorney.
Yes.
Right. So he knows a thing or two about this whole process. And that's what I love. I mean, his comments are great on their own. But listening to those comments through the optic that this man was an assistant U.S. attorney.
And he knows all those tricks.
And he knows all those tricks. And he really knows what he's talking about. So to hear him comment on this is just fascinating to me. And just knowing that background about him just enhances his handling of Mr. Comey.
Your appreciation of his tactics, because he's thinking tactically.
Absolutely.
Moving on.
Yes.
The immunity was for Cheryl Mills. And if the Department of Justice says you've done nothing wrong, it does beg the question of why you are seeking or receiving immunity. And it could be, Mr. Chairman, for a couple of different... It could be for the classified information that was the genesis of the investigation. It could be for the destruction of federal records which came from that initial investigation, or it could be both. Mr. Comey, I want to ask you this: did the Bureau interview everyone who originated an email that ultimately went to Secretary Clinton that contained classified information?
I don't think so. Nearly everyone, but not everyone.
Well, you and I had a discussion the last time about intent. You and I see the statute differently. My opinion doesn't matter. Yours does. You're the head of the Bureau. But in my judgment, you read an element into the statute that does not appear on the face of the statute.
Again,
we
AUSA.
had a discussion about intent. So why would you not interview the originator of the email to, number one, determine whether or not that originator had a conversation with the secretary herself?
A handful of people who the team decided it wasn't a smart use of resources to track down. One was a civilian in Japan, as I recall, who had forwarded something that somehow got classified as it went up. And the other were a group of low-level State Department people deployed around the world who had written things that ended up being classified. Nearly everyone was interviewed, but there was a small group that the team decided it isn't worth the resources.
Well, to that extent, if you interviewed the overwhelming majority of the originators of the email, will you make those 302s available to Congress? Because I counted this morning 30-something 302s that we do not have.
Okay. I'll go back and check. My goal is maximum transparency, consistent with our obligations under the law. I'll check on that.
Well, and I appreciate it for this reason. Intent is awfully hard to prove. Very rarely do defendants announce ahead of time, I intend to commit this crime on this date. Go ahead and check the code section. I'm going to do it. That rarely happens. So you have to prove it by circumstantial evidence, such as whether or not the person intended to set up an email system outside the State Department, such as whether or not the person knew or should have known that his or her job involved handling classified information, whether or not the person was truthful about the use of multiple devices, whether or not the person knew that a frequent emailer to her had been hacked, and whether she took any remedial steps after being put on notice that your email or someone who's been emailing with you prolifically had been hacked. And whether or not, and I think you would agree with this, Director, false exculpatory statements are gold in a courtroom. I would rather have a false exculpatory statement than a confession. I would rather
because then you can impeach the hell
lie
out of it.
about something and it be provable that is a lie, such as that I neither sent nor received classified.
Hold on, because Beezy has something he wanted to say.
Beezy literally jumped up out of the chair, fist bumped himself in the air as he spun around, did the splits, touched his toes, and sat back down with an expletive.
Was my mic hot when I said that?
That was great.
Well, then I apologize for that. But that's true. An exculpatory statement
is enormous.
Is massive. You want that. You absolutely want that.
Absolutely
it's
do.
every bit as good, if not more, than a confession.
Absolutely
And the reason for that is you can impeach it.
Yes, you can. And it is amazing. Those of you listening at home, it is 10 o'clock. We are going to carry over just a couple more minutes. I just want to finish this 3-minute, and then we'll wrap up the show.
And we want to welcome T.
And we want to welcome the Bone. The Bone is here, ladies and gentlemen.
And I have one final point when you're all done.
Roger that. Let's go.
Information. Such as that I turned over all of my work-related emails. All of that, to me, goes to the issue of intent. So I got 2 more questions, then I'm going to be out of time. For those who may have to prosecute these cases in the future, what would she have had to do to warrant your recommendation of a prosecution? If all of that was not enough, because all of that's what she did, if all of that's not enough, I mean, surely you cannot be arguing that you have to have an intent to harm the United States to be subject to this prosecution. I mean, that's treason. That's not a violation of this statute.
No, I think we'd have to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt a general awareness of the unlawfulness of your conduct. You knew you were doing something you shouldn't do. And then Obviously, that's on the face of the statute itself. Then you need to consider, so who else has been prosecuted and in what circumstances, because it's all about prosecutorial judgment. But those two things would be the key questions. Can you prove that the person knew they were doing something they shouldn't do, a general criminal intent, general mens rea,
But the
and
way to
treated other people similarly?
The way to prove that is whether or not someone took steps to conceal or destroy what they've done. That is the best evidence you have, that they knew it was wrong, that they lied about it.
It's very good evidence. Always want to look at what the subject said about their conduct.
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot. If you saw her initial press conference, it all falls under the heading of false exculpatory statement. I'm out of time, Mr. Chairman, but the director did. You started off by giving us examples of things the Bureau has done, and every one of us who's worked with the FBI, that is the FBI that I know. The one that went and saved that girl in North Carolina, that is the FBI that I know. What concerns me, Director, is when you have 5 immunity agreements and no prosecution, when you are allowing witnesses who happen to be lawyers, who happen to be targets, to sit in on an interview. That is not the FBI that I used to work with. So I've been really careful to not criticize you. In fact, I said it again this morning. They wanted to know, was he gotten to? Did somebody corrupt him? No, I just disagree with you. But it's really important to me that the FBI be respected. And you got to help us understand. Because it looks to me like some things were done differently that I don't recall being done back when I used to work with them. And with that, I would yield back to the chairman.
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
I hope someday when this political craziness is over, you will look back again on this, because this is the FBI you know and love. This was done by pros in the right way. That's the part I have no patience for. Sorry, sir.
Okay, first of all, he didn't say anything about the agents. He was talking about the leadership of the FBI.
That's exactly his point.
And the agents brought the information to him, and he chose to do nothing with it.
It's not the facts or the fact pattern. It's the ultimate decision.
Yes.
And he could... See, that's the thing. Everything in its line for its time. Comey's job is just to line things up. He could recommend an indictment. That doesn't mean they're going to get one. He didn't even have the sack to recommend an indictment.
Yes. Yes.
Just a recommendation does not mean a thing. You still have to go through all the rest of it to justify it. It's got to go over to the DOJ.
Right. Right.
Or present it to the grand jury.
Right. There's a lot of different things he could have done. And that's the other thing is he could have easily punted this to the grand jury.
Yep. And
easily
he didn't.
have punted this to the
No,
grand
but that
jury.
wasn't his job. He was delivered a message, and he was told that he was going to take one for the team.
And he had to dispose of that horse head.
Yes.
Wait.
Yeah, and it ended up in a bed.
Yes. Here's my final point, and that's this. I think, truly, Hillary is on a precipice.
Yes.
I'm not sure she understands exactly...
I thought it was called a Sibian.
Yes, that too. I'm not sure she truly understands. I think she does understand, and I don't think the rest of America quite understands just what kind of a precipice she's standing in front of, and that should Assange reveal some things, I think she could fall.
Well, I agree. I agree with you. Like I said,
She may not be able to get up.
It's not impossible.
She needs her life alert. Right now, she needs her career alert. Because she's lying on the ground.
She needs an election
Your
alert.
friend was amazingly insightful when he said that.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I think it's a great statement. She is fighting for her freedom in her life right now.
Yep.
She's also fighting to maintain what little legacy the Clintons have left, which I'm sure Bill is pushing her hard on, too, is, hey, it's not just you.
You said hard on. You said Bill and hard on
in the same,
in the same sentence.
Just so you know. No better way to end a Sackhead show, folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Sackheads radio show
Nice,
for the 28th
Clint,
of September,
nice.
2016. Thank you for hanging out with us for a few extra minutes here on Sackheads. For the bloviating Zeppelin, Sackhead Clint, I am Sackhead Sean. We will see you next Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Make sure you check out all the other great shows here on the SHR Media Network. The Exceptional One, Reaver, Common Sense, Unpleasant Blind Guy. Make sure you check him out. He's been back in full of moxie lately. Of course, check out our good friends over at Pundit Press. Dan Butcher, the second best newsman in the business, runs it all. Make sure you have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack Dude. Sack Dude.
Radio.
Sack Dude. Sack Dude.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.